Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
I'm ABC's M. Wynn in Washington. With more mass shootings across the country and now a new firsthand account of the Uvalde, Texas shooting, there's more pressure growing on Congress to reach a deal on gun reform. The details coming up.
Well, the only thing nice about the sun going down overnight is we get a chance to cool off just a little bit. Another scorching day here in South Texas for our Monday. What about our Tuesday? Mike is standing by with the steamy forecast. Good morning, everybody. It's 4:30 on your Tuesday, June 7th.
Thanks for joining us this morning. Hope you had a good Monday. I know for me, running errands, just trying to do it quickly so I could get to the car or to the AC.
And we still got to live, right? I mean,
yes.
I walked outside yesterday. My neighbor was mowing his lawn in the heat of the day. I was grilling. I had committed to grilling for my son and his girlfriend. So
shade?
Life goes on. No.
Well, and even the breeze yesterday blowing across a parking lot or something like that. I mean, it's just nothing but a hot, you know,
it's like a hairdryer.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a giant hairdryer blowing in your face. So and you know, air conditioning really can't keep up that much, especially late in the day, and it takes so long to cool down. We did hit 104 yesterday, the new record, and the hottest we've been since way back August, almost 2 years ago, August 2020, and it's going to be just about as hot today. There's our morning clouds hanging around here. 77, same thing, Converse, Stinson, 72, Bernie Stage, 75 in Helotes, and we do have our humidity. Humidity did drop somewhat yesterday, but with that 104, we had those heat index readings about 2, 3, 4 degrees even above that. Right now, as far as any heat index, add a couple of notches to these temperatures. Feels like 79 there at the airport, 80 in New Braunfels as of right now, and 82 in Castroville. We do have just a low amount of mold showing up from yesterday's pollen count, and throughout the rest of today, about the same scenario. 90 at noon, 102 high temperature. That's one away from the record today, obviously 103. And then those gusty southerly winds, 10, 20 miles per hour. Once again, we do have a heat advisory. Does not include all of the area, pretty much along 281 west of there. It does include San Antonio and New Braunfels. We are going to be seeing heat index readings well up about 105 and 110 and higher than that, especially over to the west by the Rio Grande Valley. Triple-digit temperatures continue. Is there any end in sight? Details coming up in just a couple of moments. Steph, Mark.
Thank you, Mike. New this morning, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office has arrested a Brennan High School student following online threats. Last week, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office says they were alerted by Northside Independent School District Police that a student at Brennan had made online threats to shoot up the school. Deputies were able to make contact with the suspect, and during the investigation, the suspect admitted to posting the threats on Instagram. Investigators arrested the teen, who was later booked into the Juvenile Detention Center for terroristic threats. Investigators were able to determine that the teen was upset due to low school grades. Additionally, it was discovered that the teen's parents owned a shotgun and a 9mm handgun. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office says you should report any threats of violence by calling the number 210-335-6000.
In more local news, a home security camera captures the moment a woman and her 4-month-old infant run out of a burning home. Smoke and flames quickly consume the home along with a neighbor's house. Happened around noon yesterday on Neptune Street near Frio City Road and Highway 90. The family is okay. 3 people in the home next door also got out safely after one of them pushed an AC unit out of a window to escape.
This is, you know, it's sad, right? Because it's my house. But the important thing is that nobody was hurt. A house can be replaced.
San Antonio firefighters are still looking for a cause of the fire. They remind homeowners and even renters to make sure they have working smoke detectors in every room. It's now been 2 weeks since the massacre at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. The town square's massive memorial continues to draw mourners from across South Texas.
This morning, there is urgency in Washington for a group of bipartisan lawmakers to reach a deal on gun control. ABC's M. Wynn has the latest from Washington.
Crowds fleeing gunfire in Philadelphia after a mass shooting leaves 3 dead. In Chattanooga, 14 shot and 3 killed after authorities say gunmen opened fire at a nightclub. The deadly gun violence coming on the heels of the worst elementary school shooting in the past decade, where 19 children and 2 teachers were killed in Uvalde, Texas. One wounded teacher who lived through that horror talking exclusively with ABC's Amy Robach.
The kids started asking out loud, Mr. Reyes, what is going on?
They were watching a movie when shooting started in the classroom connected to their room.
And I said, I don't know what's going on, but let's go ahead and get under the table. Get under the table and act like you're asleep. I turned around and saw him standing there.
The gunman shot Reyes twice and proceeded to kill every child in his classroom that day. In Washington, growing momentum to reach a deal on gun reform. A bipartisan group of senators is under pressure to reach a compromise by the end of the week.
This country cannot look away as our schools and our neighborhoods become killing fields.
Sources tell ABC News negotiators are considering a proposal to change the criminal background check system to access juvenile records, which are often sealed. The other top proposals: strengthening background checks, incentives for states to enact red flag laws, and funding for school security and mental health.
In order to deliver results, we have to build consensus, and the best way to do that is through targeted reforms.
The state of New York not waiting for Congress. Governor Kathy Hochul signing a bill into law requiring a license for semi-automatic rifles and raising the minimum age to buy or have one to 21. She says there's still more to do. Emwin, ABC News, Washington.
A rally for WNBA star Brittany Griner was held in Houston last night. It was at the Toyota Center. Griner has been detained in Russia since February 17th. Russian officials stopped her while at the airport after claims that she had cannabis oil in her luggage. Former Marine Trevor Reed was among those rallying for her release last night. He was released in April after being held in Russia for 3 years. Reed had been sentenced to 9 years in prison for an altercation with Russian police officers.
The number of confirmed or probable cases of monkeypox is up to 31 here in the U.S. According to the CDC, those cases are in 12 states and Washington, D.C. As those numbers grow, health officials worry there could be community spread of the disease. To battle that, testing and vaccination is ramping up. About 1,200 doses of vaccine have been offered to people most at risk of contracting it. The 2-dose vaccine is the same one used to prevent smallpox. More than 600 cases of monkeypox have been identified now in 26 countries around the world. 437, about 76 degrees.
And still ahead, a closer look at what's driving up gas prices right now and if there will be any relief anytime soon.
And a big win last night for the University of Texas softball team. Hook 'em, Steph. Details coming up next.
Yay. Looking outside with TransGuide right now. Looking there at I-37 at Houston. Pretty quiet this morning. No problems that we know of right now.
And the clouds are back in the overnight hours, kind of throwing a blanket on us right now, which we don't need. But at least it's down to 76 degrees. Could we go for 75 maybe? Anything will help at this point. We'll be right back. Welcome back and a good morning to you. Time for a look at sports after leading the UTSA Roadrunners to a school record 12-win season and the Conference USA Championship for the first time. Head coach Jeff Traylor is on the cover of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. He shares the cover with Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire. They both rose from Texas high school football programs to become stars in college football, hence the headline forged on Friday. Traylor is about to start his third season at UTSA after being named the Conference USA Coach of the Year after finishing 2021 with a 12-2 record. The Roadrunners will kick off their 2022 season September 3rd against Houston at 2:30 in the Alamo Dome. Texas softball trying to make history last night, trying to win 2 straight games against number 7 Oklahoma State. Game 1 win according to plan. Bottom of the second, 2 on. Courtney Day crushes the 9th pitch of the at-bat deep to left. It's gone for a 3-run homer to make it 3-0 Texas. Steph's Longhorns force a winner-take-all Game 2 with a 5-0 victory. Game 2, Texas took a late lead 6-5 over the Cowgirls. Top of the 5th. From there, Oklahoma State got only 1 hit, which was wiped out by Texas double play. Texas wins, and now will face OU in a best-of-3 championship series, which starts tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Texas is now the first unranked team in history to play in the Women's College World Series final. NBA Finals resume tomorrow live here on KSAT 12 with the Celtics and the Warriors tied with 1 win apiece. The best of 7 series continues now over in Boston after the Warriors were able to win Game 2 107-88 after a fierce third quarter in which Golden State outscored Boston 35-14. One of the biggest categories the Celtics must improve on in Game 3 is turnovers. They gave up 19 in the game compared to the Warriors 12, and Golden State turned those 19 turnovers into 33 points. Sounds very much like a Spurs problem, doesn't it, Steph? All right, Game 3 in Boston starting 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Yes, tomorrow night. Series stays in Boston Friday and then shifts back to the Bay Area coming up on Monday. And that is a look at morning sports.
I think they'll go back and forth.
I think so, too. This could go the distance, right? Very easily.
I think it will.
6 or 7 games for sure.
Yeah. Definitely not a sweep here. Time now 4:43 and 76 degrees for now. And still ahead, what analysts say when it comes to getting any relief at the gas pump.
Next, why the highly successful new Top Gun movie is now facing a potential lawsuit.
And welcome back. It is 4:46. The family of the author of the article that inspired the original Top Gun film is suing Paramount for copyright infringement. ABC's Kaylee Hartung has the details in today's GMA First Look.
Having any fun yet? In this morning's GMA First Look, Top Gun lawsuit. The heirs of an article written about an elite Navy fighter squadron that inspired the original Top Gun movie, claiming Paramount consciously failed to secure a new license of the film and ancillary rights in the copyrighted story for the sequel. Paramount fighting back over the charges, telling ABC News, "These claims are without merit, and we will defend ourselves vigorously." The bona fide hit sequel already raking in more than $500 million and counting globally at the box office.
It's actually pretty unprecedented how well this movie is doing. This is definitely, at least theatrically, Paramount's giant play for the year.
And we'll have much more on this lawsuit, plus live legal analysis from Dan Abrams coming up at 7 a.m. With your GMA First Look, I'm Kaylee Hartung, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Filling up your gas tank getting more expensive by the week. The average price here today now $4.50 a gallon.
Is there relief in sight? And are we going to see $5 a gallon gas here? 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz has the answers.
$4.69 a gallon. And this is not California.
How much does it cost you to fill up your Tahoe?
$85.10.
What do you think about that?
It is crazy.
San Antonio drivers are feeling the squeeze as gas prices soar another 33 cents in just the past week.
Don't fill it up anymore. I just don't fill up the car. I can't.
$70 for a tank of gas. You see a lot of that. This same time last year, that tank of gas would have cost you $30 less. So for drivers like Langston Clark, it means changing habits.
No extra trips, not this summer.
And Sandy Castro, whose Suburban guzzles at least $100 a tank, says summer road trips are a no-go.
Absolutely not. Thank goodness we have a swimming pool in our backyard, so we're just going to do a staycation at home.
What's driving the super surge? Analysts say it's a culmination of factors. Oil is $120 a barrel, the Russia invasion, booming global demand, and refining capacity that can't keep up. So are we barreling toward $5 gas?
It's not impossible. I'm going to hope not, but as long as Americans keep filling their tanks at the same pace, it's going to continue going up.
Gas Buddy's chief analyst says expect a rough summer, especially if hurricanes disrupt. Right now, there is no relief in sight, at least until fall.
I normally drive a truck, but I had to go back to it.
So for now, Nino Guastafierro is gassing up his bike, putting his pickup in park. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Beep. I know, not a bad idea right now. Looking out with TransGuide, it was pretty quiet earlier. Now looking at I-10 at Frio, no problems that we know of.
Mike Ostrace joins us now. Mike, what are you doing to beat the heat these days?
Trying to stay inside.
Yes.
I mean, that's the best thing to stay, in
Keep
the
those
shade.
curtains and shades closed, right?
Little things like that, do obviously help somewhat. If you can keep the shades drawn as much as possible. And the thing is, you were talking about the blanket of clouds on top of us. It's not letting us cool down that much.
Yeah.
So I wish we could get somewhat of a cooler start in the morning. And That would help somewhat.
A little humid out there.
Yeah, and the humidity and the cloud cover keep these temperatures up, and there is not any end really in sight. I mean, we're looking at the triple digits going all the way in through the weekend and at least the first half of next week. So once again, there's our morning clouds hanging around out here. And if just in case you're keeping track, 7 days so far this year, and that goes back into obviously May when we had a couple of triple digit readings there. But Sunday, yesterday, and then that's the start of this count going on here. And let me go back to that graphic. I apologize there. As far as the greatest number, 59 back in 2009. Remember that I think the entire month of August basically was at triple digit temperatures. And then the most recent was 2013. We had 41 days. So not a very encouraging graphic there, and not an encouraging start to the summer when we're seeing these triple digits around here. 77 degrees at the airport, 75 Bulverde, low 70s in the hill country. Humidity has come back up this morning, obviously, and we'll keep the clouds around. And then, same scenario as yesterday, go up through the upper 70s and then hit 80 by 9 o'clock and go up 4 degrees basically per hour once we get into 10, 11, 12 o'clock, 90 at noon. And then we're going to top off at 102 today. The record is 103. Again, that hair dryer wind out there, which really doesn't help all that much. The one saving grace today, a little bit different than yesterday. The humidity looks like it's going to be lower later on this afternoon. We kept those dew points right around 63, 64 in the afternoon. So we did have somewhat of a heat index to deal with on top of that 104 that we hit. We will still have a slight bit of a heat index, but at least that drier air allows your body to try and cool itself somewhat better. So we're still going to see 111 Cotulla for a heat index reading, 106 in Carrizo Springs, but these numbers are down just a couple of degrees compared to yesterday. So slightly better. We got to take anything we can get in this situation, obviously. 90 at noon, mostly sunny skies. High temperature today makes it up to 102. It is going to be breezy, and the record is 103. Heat advisory goes into effect at 1 up until 9. So it's been extended 1 hour longer than what it was yesterday, just taking into account that it takes that much longer to cool down. There's the records for each respective day. Up at the top, close to it today, tomorrow. Let's see, over the weekend, probably not. And then once again on Monday, and we're looking at now triple digits, I think going through, what's that?
You put breezy here,
I know.
And then you've given up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even want to put breezy on there.
Yes, sir.
But close to records, triple digit temperatures through the start of next week.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. 452, 76 degrees.
And coming up next, classic Jurassic Park actors react to their characters appearing in the final upcoming Jurassic World film.
Excuse me. Classic characters return for the new Jurassic World movie this week.
For the latest of what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Jason Nathanson.
Don't move. In the new Jurassic World movie, they're getting the gang back together. Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum return as a trio for the first time since the first movie almost 30 years ago. And Dern tells me the dinos are even more realistic and scary this time around.
I run into some creatures that may be small, but are definitely more disgusting and probably your worst nightmare. And they too were practical. And I would say Bryce Dallas Howard and I and Sam Neill will never recover.
Jurassic World Dominion is in theaters Friday.
I won't sleep until he's in the ground.
Neve Campbell says she's leaving the Scream franchise over pay, writing in a statement that the offer she was made for Scream 6 did not equate to the value she feels she has brought to the franchise. And happy birthday, Barry! Emmy-winning actor and writer Bill Hader is 44 today, while Grammy-nominated rapper Fetty Wap is 31. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And time now is 4:56 and 76 degrees for now.
Still ahead on GMSA, what leaders are doing to try to stop a disturbing trend of young people taking their own lives with firearms here in the U.S.
Plus, iPhone messages will finally let you edit or unsend that embarrassing text.
Really?
Yes, details in Tech Bites.
And checking the roads with TransGuy, Stephen Cavazos is in the studio. He is standing by, literally, with an update coming up here at the top of the hour. You're watching GMSA.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Remembering Uvalde 2 weeks later, the memorial continues to grow for shooting victims as another funeral is planned for today.
And health leaders are working to curb a disturbing trend among young people in the U.S.
Outside with live cam, we've only dropped down to 76 degrees this morning. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, June 7th.
Thanks for joining us this morning. Hope you're finding some relief out there. It's going to get hot once more.
The AC is working overtime right now, Mike, and that, of course, you want to conserve if you can, and you bump up that thermostat, but then it works overtime to get things cooler to go to bed at night.
Yeah, and even late in the afternoon, I know our upstairs, it could not keep up. And that's the problem a lot of folks are having, and use the ceiling fans. But of course, yeah, I mean, if you have those fans, but they don't do any good if you're not in the room. So if you're not in the room, turn off the ceiling fan, but keep it on, and that helps to add just a little bit of that cooling effect. 77 degrees right now, and that bottom number, dew point, is at 70, which means the humidity has come back in here. Once again, we've got a decent breeze out there, but that's why Mark has been describing it. It's like a hairdryer in the afternoon with that wind blowing in your face, and it's just nothing but hot air. 102 for high temperature later on today, which is going to be 1 degree away from the record. Yesterday, of course, we hit a new record, 104, warmest we've been since way back August 2020. The aquifer, big hit yesterday, down 1.3 feet, still in stage 2. Water restrictions, of course. Mold is on the low side. So once again, we do have somewhat of a heat index to deal with this morning. Temperatures at 77, but it feels like 79 out there at the airport. Same thing at Stinson, 80 New Braunfels, 82 is the heat index right now in Castroville. And we've got some clouds, very, very warm this morning. The normals, average temperatures, 92 and 72. So 10 above normal later on today, and we're about 5 above normal as of right now. Mostly sunny, breezy. Again, 102 for a high temperature. Triple digit readings are going to continue all week long in through the weekend, and it looks like right now a good chunk of next week. Back to today, heat advisory has been issued again, 1 o'clock up until 9 o'clock in the evening. So even about a half an hour after the sun goes down, we still have the heat advisory in effect. Does not include the eastern counties, but about 281 off to the west. Probably have more of these posted in the next couple of days. We'll take a look ahead and see if there's any sort of relief in sight. Traffic Authority, Stevens here this morning. Good morning, sir. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, Mike. Right now, I'm taking a look at US 90. A couple things have been quiet so far. We're off to Tuesday. Really not seeing any issues out there on the roadway. 281 at Grayson, pretty quiet start as people are getting their day going here. But we obviously understand that there's going to be several active construction spots, and we're going to get to that a little bit later on in this newscast because we know there's a lot of things that people need to plan for, but they first got to check those vehicles because we have a stall reported here off 281 southbound near Hildebrand Avenue. First one that we detected this morning, but we're also adding another one to that list as we take a drive not too far from there, I-35 northbound there at New Braunfels Avenue. So as a reminder, check your vehicles, make sure that you're gassed up there as well. We know gas is obviously causing a pinch for everybody's wallet, but again, just make sure everything is working properly. Let's go ahead and get that bird's eye view at 503. Again, those active construction spots are what's going to be probably the main thing we'll talk about, at least for this first half hour, unless something major pops up. But thankfully, nothing that will actually cause any delays, especially if you're traveling into San Antonio. We're just about 27 across the board. I-10 eastbound, Bernie to downtown, 281 southbound coming in from Boulevardy, and just a 26-minute drive time if you're heading in from 35 and New Braunfels in those southbound lanes. So everything's in good shape so far, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. We know there are drivers that are going to have to head out. They're going to love it. But again, construction, we'll have more on that coming up in the next few minutes. Mark, Stephanie.
Thank you, sir. New this morning, Bexar County Sheriff's deputies say a man was dead after he was hit by a driver overnight. Happened at Petranco and Sundance Crest in far west Bexar County. According to a deputy, the victim was hit by the driver of a black Jeep. The deputy says the driver tried to avoid him, but it was too late. Ended up jumping the median and rolling over. The driver was taken to the hospital. Condition is unknown right now. The pedestrian died there at the scene. No other details were given. Victims of the Robb Elementary school shooting in Uvalde continue to be laid to rest this week.
Sarah Costa joins us now with the details. Hey, good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Mark and Stephanie. Another tough day for the families in Uvalde, another day of tears and remembrance there. The funeral services start later this morning for 10-year-old Xavier Lopez at Hillcrest Cemetery in Uvalde. His family says he was an active young boy who loved to play baseball. There will also be a visitation today for 10-year-old Annabelle Rodriguez at the Rushing Estes Knolls Mortuary from noon until 9 p.m. Her funeral services are scheduled for tomorrow. Meanwhile, today marks 2 weeks since a shooting at Robb Elementary. The family of one of the victims, Anne-Marie Jo Garza, is vowing to fight for change. Her father, Alfred Garza, says his daughter was sassy, social, and loved to play with things that made a mess, whether it was slime or sand. Garza says he's proud of his daughter's bravery that she showed when that shooting happened.
I don't want my daughter's name tarnished by just how she died. I prefer to remember how she lived.
The Girl Scouts of Southwest Texas awarded her the Bronze Cross after she was killed, saying she did all she could to save the lives of her classmates and teachers. The list of visitations and funerals are listed on our website at KSAT.com. We also have a list of the official funds for the victims in Uvalde if you would like to donate to help. Mark and Steph.
Sarah, thank you. Razor-thin results in that runoff race that's gained national attention here. The Texas Tribune reporting immigration attorney Jessica Cisneros will call for a formal recount the race for Congressional District 23. She's up against incumbent Congressman Henry Cuellar. Only 281 votes separated the two candidates. Cuellar's office released a statement saying, in part, quote, "She has no path to victory and will not gain 281 votes. I welcome this process as it will only further verify our victory," end quote. For years, up until 2020, the CDC listed accidents as the leading cause of death among youth.
Now, gun-related deaths have skyrocketed to the point where it's the #1 reason children and teens are most likely to die. ABC's Morgan Norwood has more on the calls for prevention.
As the nation deals with a series of tragedies involving guns, a sobering statistic, the rate of young people taking their own lives with guns is now at its highest point in more than 20 years, according to advocacy group Everytown for Gun Safety.
I was foolish and with a 12-gauge shotgun, shot myself in an attempt to take my life.
Nico Hayden was 17 years old when he shot himself in the face in 2016. Doctors had to remove his left eye and part of his brain.
No mother should see what I saw.
Everytown for Gun Safety has been studying the numbers. Their research found the gun suicide rate among young people increased 15% between 2019 and 2020. The sharpest spike among children of color.
Young Black students who show symptoms of mental illness are disciplined and arrested more often than students of other racial and ethnic groups, rather than being given access to the type of counseling or help that they need.
But experts say it's just as much a gun safety issue as it is mental health.
Over 80% of child and teen firearm suicides involve a gun belonging to a family member. An estimated 4.6 million kids live in homes today with unlocked, loaded guns.
Everytown for Gun Safety says firearm suicide can be prevented by storing firearms securely. Nico Hayden was fortunate enough to have that second chance at life, and now he's dedicating it to awareness, prevention, and encouraging families to have open conversations around mental health.
If you think nobody cares, you matter. We matter.
Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And if you or someone you know is struggling and needs some help, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That is 1-800-273-8255.
508, about 76 degrees.
Still ahead, a first look at Apple's new MacBook Air and several other products.
Next is producing more oil here in the U.S. Really a solution to lower our gas prices.
And taking a look outside with live cam. It is sort of humid out there still at 76 degrees, hoping for some relief, but things are going to get warmer this afternoon. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Just about 5:12. Good morning. Gas prices, as you know, are painfully high right now.
It looked like we were starting to get some relief, but then prices shot up again. And it's not just the cost of gas, it's everything from milk to medications, even our clothing is more expensive.
When the price of oil goes up, the price of everything goes up. We use oil not just in gasoline, but in household goods, in food production, just really across our economy and across our lifestyle.
Gas got more expensive after the ban on Russian oil in the U.S., but is that really what's driving these record high prices, and is producing more oil here in the U.S. the solution?
We dive into those answers in our latest KSAT Explains. That's available online at KSAT.com.
Check it out. Lots of good info there. We kind of take a deeper dive here at KSAT. 512, 76 degrees.
And still ahead, Apple adds a medication tracking feature to its health app. We're going to show you how it works.
And more detail. Why am I reading this? More details on a new feature that will finally let you edit or unsend that embarrassing text.
Dry skin is sensitive skin too, and it's natural. That's why Aveeno Daily Moisture Lotion and Body Wash are formulated to be gentle on dry skin, with nourishing prebiotic oat and rich, soothing emollients. Together, this duo locks in moisture all day for softer, healthier looking skin, proven on skin like yours. Aveeno, healthy, it's our nature.
Ugh-stipated. Feeling weighed down by a backed up gut. Miralax is different. It works naturally with the water in your body to unblock your gut. Free your gut and your mood will follow.
For Imprint, this is Lisa. Hi, I'd like 50 welcome wows and 300 customer I love it.
Promotional products from 4imprint are certain to deliver ooh yes.
Wow.
I love it. Find some wow now at 4imprint.com. 4imprint, for certain.
5:16, Apple announced several new products and software updates at this year's Worldwide Developers Conference. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has details in today's Tech Bites.
In today's Tech Bites, Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference. The company revealed its latest MacBook Air. Apple says it includes a faster chip, a new display, and improved webcam. Pricing starts at $1,200. And Apple is adding a new medication tracking feature to its health app. You can scan your medication bottle with your iPhone and create a custom schedule, and then you'll get an alert to remind you when it's time for your next dose. And finally, big news for anyone who's ever regretted sending a text. Apple says an iPhone software update will soon allow you to edit or unsend a message up to 15 minutes after sending it. And once a message is deleted, you'll have 30 days to recover it. But no word yet on when the software update might be released. So much for having to rewrite those wrongs. Those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
5:17 now. I don't know about that. Let's go ahead and check in with Stephen Cavazos.
Well, this is a topic of conversation. I mean, do you have to have it? We're just talking about this, Mike. Do you have to have an iPhone or an Android for it to work on both ends? I don't know. I mean, I wish that feature was available probably 5 years ago.
What'd you send? Or 10 years ago.
You know what? I'm just going to edit this part out of the conversation, right? All right, let's just talk about the roadways. Thankfully, not a lot to talk about here. 35 in Nogalitos. Things are off. People are moving. So the good news is you're really not going to encounter any issues out there. We did have a few stalls that were picked up right there along the map, but now you can see it's all clear. But one thing that we want to bring up is that there are several active construction spots. This is something I tweeted about yesterday. Some work taking place here up on I-10 in Kendall County. Bridge beam installation. Now, this should be wrapping up. Unfortunately, no cameras out there, so we can't show you the conditions, but it was overnight, 9 in the evening to 5 in the morning. Drivers, if they're still out there, keep in mind, it's a full closure of I-10 in both directions. That's east and west. That will be between State Highway 46 and US 87. So we all know that there's a lot of work taking place along I-10, but of course, to stay updated, grab your phones, open your camera app, scan this QR code. If we can bring that up right now, perfect. Scan that QR code by tapping the center of your screen. It will take you directly to the KSAT traffic page and have the latest on any impacts or anything that closures taking place in your area or anything else that could impact your drive time. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
You know where else that message thing would come in handy? Is if you're writing a message and all of a sudden you tap it wrong and it's not even completed yet and you kind of send a partial, it's like, sorry, hang on, let me finish typing this, or then you can go, wait, here, I'll.
I find myself apologizing a lot when I'm texting. Oh, I meant this, or hold on.
Ditto.
Yeah.
I don't think Apple wants to completely bail us out, but they want to help.
Yeah. Anything will help.
Yeah.
Good point. All right, we've got some clouds out there. We've got a lot of humidity. Humidity has obviously gone up. It went through its daily cycle where it dropped down somewhat yesterday. The good news is, and we're just trying to find any sort of good news in this forecast, is that the humidity should be somewhat lower this afternoon than what it was yesterday. So we're not going to have, we did have somewhat of a heat index still hanging around here yesterday. It won't be as high later on today. So that's one small bit of salvation later on today. 75 degrees will drop down maybe another couple of notches this morning. Clouds will begin to clear out. We'll make it up to 80 already at 9 o'clock, and then add 10 to that already by noon. Plenty of sunshine, and that, as Mark describes it, the hair dryer is going to be going all day long. Nice breeze out of the south. That, I don't know if I can call it a nice breeze because it feels like a hair dryer with these hot temperatures, especially if you're walking across like the grocery store parking lot and, you know, the sun's hitting you, all that heat coming off the pavement and that hair dryer blowing in your face. 102 for a high temperature later on today. That's going to be 1 degree away from the record. Of course, yesterday we hit 104, which is a new record and the warmest we've been, or the hottest, I should say, we've been since August of 2020. And the humidity, so we've got dew points up into the 70s. They've come up again. And then later on this afternoon, going to be dropping down low 60s and even upper 50s. Yesterday we stayed, when we hit 104, we still had a dew point temperature about 63 degrees. So you stay above 60, and it's just that little extra bit that keeps those temperatures even up to about 106, 107, even higher than that as far as the heat index. So when you're below 60, you really don't have that much of a heat index to deal with. So we should be seeing, in other words, in the shade, it'll be slightly more comfortable. I'm trying to spin this as best as possible to try and get some salvation here. My graph line kind of did a little dipsy-do there, unfortunately. But what this is showing, just take a look at these numbers here. Afternoon dew points will be staying in the 50s all the way through the rest of the week. So at least we are going to get the benefit of that somewhat lower lower humidity in the afternoon, slightly more comfortable in the shade to help sort of maybe quench some of these just ridiculously hot temperatures. Triple digits all the way across the board in through the rest of the week, the weekend, and going into next week. 90 at noon today, mostly sunny skies. High temperature makes it up to 102 with the, again, the hair dryer out there today, with the breeze coming in here out of the south. We do have a heat index, or heat advisory, beg your pardon, from 281, San Antonio, New Braunfels off to the west. It does not include our eastern counties today, but obviously you still want to just take it easy if you're outside. But this is taking into account those temperatures that are going to be well up into the hundreds all across the board and all throughout the hill country. And we're going to stay in the triple digits through the rest of the week and into the weekend. And closest as far as records anymore today within a degree, probably tomorrow, Monday, best shot at hitting some record high temperatures. I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah.
A lot of records.
And we're looking at through probably the middle of next week at least.
Okay.
For triple digits.
All right, we'll power through.
We will. I mean, the thing that stinks is I feel like this is kind of wearing us down early, earlier in the year for sure. We expect this when we get into late July, yes, August, and even September.
Not this early.
Described it was, somebody wrote in a couple of weeks ago, the first time we hit those hundreds, talking about soul-crushing heat. Yeah,
it kind of is.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, and I think it makes vacations out of Texas a little more urgent if possible,
yes,
right? There you go. 523, about 76 degrees.
And coming up next in your morning spotlight, Kenny Loggins talks about his award and his Top Gun memories, and a look at the 40th anniversary of Grease 2.
526, today's entertainment report may have you checking the calendar.
CNN's David Daniel has a double-barreled blast from the past in our Hollywood Minute.
Kenny Loggins.
Kenny Loggins received NAMM's Music for Life Award for his contributions to music and music education at this year's NAMM convention. It coincided with the resurgence of his song Danger Zone from the original Top Gun, as the sequel, Top Gun Maverick, dominates theaters.
I just saw a little piece of the first Top Gun the other day on the TV, and I did not remember how young we were. But that they all look like babies to me. It's like, what? How did that happen? And now here we are 30 some years later going, wow, well, it's happening again.
Stephanie is a pink lady, which means if you're not a T-bird, you can look, but don't touch.
Well, then how'd you become one of these T-birds?
It's the 40th anniversary of Grease 2, which starred Maxwell Caulfield as a new student pursuing Pink Lady leader Michelle Pfeiffer.
This was a fantasy version of high school. High school, of course, high school is one of the most vital times of your life. But it's also, there's a lot of angst and there's a lot of insecurity.
What if behind those goggles he's just some ordinary guy?
What if he is?
Grease 2 is out now in a limited edition 40th anniversary Blu-ray steelbook for all you cool riders. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
You okay, Matt? Mike? Mike. Mike. I don't know where my brain was going.
Almost didn't recognize Maxwell Caulfield.
Yeah, that's where
None of us
you was.
did, yeah. Grease 2 is in Mike's top 5 films of all time.
5 Michelle Pfeiffer in it. So.
There you go.
Well, that's one reason why. 527, 76 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA, the Biden administration would like to see action on gun legislation sooner rather than later. However, there's still a big divide amongst lawmakers.
Ready for a new Frosty? We'll tell you about Wendy's latest twist on an old favorite.
And ahead on GMSA at 6, are you looking to get work done on your home? Well, we're going to have what you need to know before you hire someone to help.
Making headlines this morning, lawmakers in Washington set to meet today to try to curb the recent trend of gun violence.
And taking a look outside with live cam, that 76 degrees will be mild compared to what we will face later this afternoon. We're going to be checking in with Mike very soon.
And good morning to you. It's Tuesday, June 7th.
Thanks for joining us. And not to put Mike on the spot or anything, but we broke a record yesterday. What are we expecting the rest of the week?
We'll be close to a few records today. We'll be within a degree of the record high temperature. Yesterday was 104. The previous record was 102, and was it, if I remember, 101, and that was the warmest we had been since way back in August of 2020. Right now, 77 degrees, and we can pretty much add 25 to that, and that's where we're going to be topping off later on today. Still have a dew point of 70, so the humidity, which did drop down somewhat in the afternoon, is probably going to be dropping down a little bit more this afternoon, so that hint of a heat index will be slightly lower. We're splitting hairs here, but anything we can get, we will take as far as something that's a little more comfortable. Wind out of the south, primarily at about 10, 15 miles per hour, 14 to be exact, and it is going to be on the breezy side again today. 79 is the heat index right now, 80 New Braunfels, still 82 in Castroville, and we do have a low amount of mold in the atmosphere. And temperatures look about like what they did yesterday. We'll be up to 90 at noon, already hit triple digits by mid-afternoon and top off at 102. In the record today is 103, so again, close to it, and that's going to be, like I said, the case the next couple of days. One thing for sure, whether we hit a record, it's going to remain in triple-digit territory all the way through the week and in toward the weekend. What about after that? Details coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen, what's going on, sir?
Hey, well, no delays just yet, Mike, especially for anybody that may need to go grab that morning coffee. Let's get a look around town and give you a sense of what you can expect right now for this Tuesday morning, 410 at Fredericksburg. It does look like things are picking up. We're seeing a few more folks out there as the day starts getting rolling there. 410 at San Pedro, 410 at Harry Wurzbach, just light traffic, but still just a little bit more folks than usual. Now, while these TransGuide cameras aren't showing a lot of activity out there, we are picking up some problems right here off of I-10 westbound, or pardon me, eastbound there near Wurzbach Road. This is near the central side of San Antonio, but thankfully it's not causing any issues for drivers just yet. But keep in mind, it's in those eastbound lanes, so if you are traveling into the downtown area, you will likely encounter some flashing lights. Hopefully the driver is okay, but well, keep a close eye on that and see if we can get TransGuide to get us a shot out there so we can show you the conditions. But the conditions overall look pretty nice. Again, just those active construction spots that we usually see, and we'll continue to mention that throughout the morning. But if you plan on traveling into San Antonio, no delays, but check out what's happening here off Seguin, coming in those westbound lanes of I-10. A 34-minute drive time, a little bit slower than usual, but that could be due to some of the bridge work that we've been seeing out there on the far east side of town. So we'll continue to watch that closely, but as we jump past this spot, bridge beam work over off I-10, that has also wrapped. We'll get back to this TransGuide view. You can see just some quiet roads there off 1604. We'll continue to watch things closely and give you those updates coming up in the next few minutes. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen. New this morning, Bexar County Sheriff's investigators say a deadly crash may not have been avoidable. They say a driver who hit and killed a man overnight didn't see him. The crash happened outside of Loop 1604 on Potranco Road near Sundance Crest. Katrina Weber is there with a live report. And Katrina, is a driver facing any charges?
It doesn't appear so, at least not at this time. But again, this whole thing's still under investigation. That crash happened around 12:30 this morning. According to deputies, the driver of a Jeep was heading down Petranco Road when he or she hit a man who was walking down the road. Now, based on what those deputies told us, the driver claimed to not see the man until it was too late, and that man did die here at the scene. After hitting him, the Jeep rolled over across the road and into a grassy area. And we understand that the driver had to be taken to a hospital, but deputies were not able to tell us at that time anything about the driver's injuries. Just looking here at the scene, we can actually see where it happened. There are markings on the ground, as well as some of that the residue from their flares, but we are still waiting to find out more about this crash, and as soon as the sheriff's office makes that information available, we'll bring it to you. Reporting live in far west Bexar County, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. Today marks 2 weeks since 21 people, 19 of them children, were shot and killed at Robb Elementary in Uvalde.
Now, a teacher who survived that shooting is sharing what he experienced while the shooter killed every child in his classroom. Sarah Costa is live in the studio with how the teacher is describing the horrific experience. Sarah.
Mark and Steph, this is a difficult interview to hear, but it's a very powerful and important one. It's an exclusive interview with ABC's Amy Robach. Arnolfo Reyes, a fourth grade teacher shot twice in Uvalde's Robb Elementary School, describes what he told his students when he heard the shooting in the connecting classroom next door. He told ABC he was telling his students to get under a table and pretend to sleep before he came face to face with the gunman. Reyes then recalls being shot. 2 bullets hit him, one through his arm and another in his lungs. He said he couldn't move. The gunman then turning the gun on his students. He says he heard kids in the next classroom calling for help. At that point, he thinks officers had retreated down the hallway.
One of the students from the next door classroom was saying, "Officer, we're in here. We're in here." But they had already left. And then he got up from behind my desk, and he walked over there and he shot over there again.
The gunman then going back into room 112 and firing more shots. The teacher says when he heard the officers again telling the gunman through the door they want him to come out to talk, that they don't want to hurt anybody. A minute later, silence until Border Patrol finally breached the door. 19 students and 2 teachers were killed. It'll be another day of tears and remembrance in Uvalde. Funeral services for 10-year-old Xavier Lopez is this morning, and there will also be a visitation for 10-year-old Annabelle Rodriguez. Mark and Stephanie.
Thank you, Sarah. Today, the full Senate GOP conference is meeting to discuss potential gun reform talks.
And as CNN's John Lawrence reports, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling for a deal within the next few days. However, there's still a divide between lawmakers.
At least 13 mass shootings were reported in the U.S. this weekend, resulting in 17 deaths.
7 victims right now. 7.
On Sunday in Tennessee, gunfire erupted in the Chattanooga area for the second time within a week.
I was like, wow, it was just crazy how I was just, right down the road when it happened.
The nonprofit Gun Violence Archive says there's been at least 246 mass shootings across the country through June 5th, and that the U.S. is on pace to have more mass shootings in 2022 than in any other year.
There's more to do. Thoughts and prayers won't fix this, but taking strong action will.
White House officials say President Joe Biden is encouraged with the Senate negotiations on gun control measures, but would like action taken sooner rather than later.
While there have been measured victories on gun violence prevention in recent years, there hasn't been a wide-ranging bill passed since 1994. That's almost 3 decades ago. So the president has made it clear that it's time for Congress to act.
Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia is among the lawmakers who support raising the minimum age to buy a semi-automatic weapon to 21. But many Republicans resist the idea.
We're going to stop sending 18-year-olds to fight our wars for us. I suppose at that point you could maybe consider it. But no, the age isn't the issue, nor is the gun.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
A survivor of the Buffalo supermarket shooting wants the accused shooter's parents to testify under oath. A pre-disclosure document requests that Paul and Pamela Gendron preserve all evidence, devices, documents, and electronics used by their son in planning and carrying out the attack. The filing also requests Peyton Gendron's parents file depositions no later than July 29th. The attorney for the survivor says this is the first step to getting justice for the victims and their families. Gendron has been charged with 25 counts, including domestic acts of terrorism motivated by hate. If convicted, he faces life in prison without parole.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk is backtracking on comments he made last week about possible staffing reductions. Now, according to reports, Musk said the company would increase hourly headcount but reduce salaried headcount by 10%. However, after Tesla shares dropped 9% on Friday, Musk tweeted the company's, quote, total headcount will increase, but salaried should be fairly flat. Musk also threatened to walk away from his proposed purchase of Twitter yesterday. Tesla shares have been hurt by Musk's interest in Twitter.
Right now, 540, 76 degrees.
Still ahead, Wendy's is trying out a new frosty flavor just in time for the hot summer months.
Up next, why a worker shortage is forcing many summer camp programs to trim or cancel all their activities.
And taking a look outside with live cam. If you have any summer camp outdoor activities, be prepared for that heat. Lots of water and shade if you can get it. We're at 76 degrees for now. We'll be right back.
Well, as you can probably tell, that did not go according to plan. We were scheduled to have an EAS test there. We'll try to work something out. A worker shortage forcing some summer camps to either slim down their programming or cancel things completely.
And as CNN's Jen Sullivan reports, those that are still open say they're feeling the impact of inflation.
School is out for summer. In some of the camps parents counted on to keep their children busy are no longer an option. From private to city-run summer camps, some programs are either being trimmed or canceled altogether this 2022 season due to a serious worker shortage.
I think it's another really tough year for summer camps.
Camp IHC in Pennsylvania is one of those camps still operating this season. But camp director Lauren Ratowski says they have had to raise wages and hire international staff to have enough counselors.
We have seen the cost of staffing go up 30 to 50%. So that's really tricky when in 2020, most of us did not open at all.
Meanwhile, in Georgia, Campfire Camp Toccoa announced the cancellation of its overnight camp due to difficulty in securing the necessary staff. And in Michigan, Traverse City canceled its summer day camp program, saying it couldn't hire enough workers to meet state regulations requiring a 10-to-1 students to counselor ratio.
We need you.
The staffing issues come as demand has come roaring back after pandemic disruptions. Some 26 million children nationwide are expected to be enrolled in one of over 15,000 summer camps in the country.
We will likely be fully enrolled for summer 2023 at some point, in July this year.
Meanwhile, inflation is also surging, forcing some camp operators to pass on additional costs to parents as they're faced with higher prices for food, transportation, staff, and insurance. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Time now is 5:46 and 76 degrees for now.
Wendy's changing up its frosting for only the second time in 16 years. We'll tell you what it is. 5:48, LeBron James expected to break another record, but this time it's not on the basketball court. Golden is auctioning off this LeBron James triple logo man trading card this week, the only one ever made. It could break a record for the most expensive sports card ever sold. We're talking $6.6 million. Card features game-used patches from each of the NBA teams that James has played for, the Cavs, the Heat, and, of course, the LA Lakers.
And Wendy's is shaking things up this summer, adding a strawberry Frosty to its menu. The strawberry Frosty is available for a limited time, and it is replacing vanilla for the moment. Wendy's promises that flavor will return following the promotion. So strawberry is only the second new flavor added in the U.S. in the past 16 years. The fast food restaurant launched a birthday cake Frosty back in 2019 when the chain celebrated its 50th birthday.
I wonder if people still dip their fries in their Frosties, the sweet and salty mix.
I've seen that a lot. I don't know if the strawberry will work the same.
I don't know. Stephen, what's your thought there?
I've done it plenty of times. Oh, it's the best. I don't know if that's like a Texas thing or no. Oh, yeah. Great.
Yeah. Wendy's fries in the chocolate frosting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that sounds like a plan later, Mike.
That's what I was going to say.
All right.
Are they open?
Well, you know what? People may not be grabbing that Frosty this early. Maybe they are, but maybe they're grabbing an iced coffee. Let's go ahead and take a look at the road because thankfully nothing is going to really cause any issues for that early drive. You can see there 410 at San Pedro. Things are getting moving as people are waking up and heading out the door, but thankfully nothing major to talk about. Now, we start here with this bird's eye view of the map. As we mentioned, really there's not a lot on there, just some of those construction spots, but we have to take you into I-10 where we talked about this crash. I was going through some of the TransGuide cameras and I'm not seeing flashing lights out there anymore, but just as a heads up, in the eastbound lanes of I-10 at Wurzbach, watch out if you're traveling through there. We'll have to keep a close eye on this spot as the morning does go on, but it looks like that crash may have cleared out. So hopefully good news for anyone that has to travel down there, but unfortunately we have another stall down here off US 90 in the westbound lanes, not far from Couples. Now we did talk about some of those active construction spots, and if you were with us about maybe 20 minutes ago, you saw that there was a little bit of a delay coming in from Seguin on I-10. Now on the far east side, we know that there's been bridge work taking place that's overnight, 8 in the evening to 5 in the morning. Crews may still be out there wrapping up, but keep in mind there is that full closure of also the westbound main lanes coming in from FM 1518 to FM 1516. So that is likely why we'll see a little bit of a slowdown over the next few days. But other than that, back here in town, no slowdowns just yet. So things are looking just fine. Guys?
Thank you, Stephen.
All right, so you'd have hash browns with breakfast.
Yeah.
Hence French fries.
Yeah.
And you could have a glass of chocolate milk with your breakfast, chocolate frosty in your coffee. So there we go. So it's
that works. Yeah.
Yeah. For us morning people.
Got it all worked out.
There's a loophole.
Yeah. Hey, there we go. So, all right. I love this picture. It's kind of a nice little sparrow nest on the front porch. Hopefully that is in the shade there. And don't forget, when you think about all the animals and pets and everything, lots and lots. And even inside, they're going to need a lot of extra water like people do too. You got to really stay hydrated, but make sure if pets outside, plenty of fresh water because it's going to heat up really quickly. All right, we got a lot of clouds hanging around here this morning and very warm and humid temperatures. All right, looking ahead, it looks like we are going to get a little bit of the Saharan dust coming on in here, coming across the trade winds, and this will be really over the course of about the next week, and it won't be until probably starting a little bit late in the weekend, and the next week we'll start to see a bit more of that. And what's interesting is obviously it's coming across the trade winds here and then coming in through the Gulf of Mexico and that east-west flow. Perhaps that would bring a little bit of relief for us way down the road. We're going to talk about that in a second. 70. Hey, it stayed together. It fell. 75 degrees will bottom out. Thank you very much. If you could just put that over there and go grab me a Frosty.
Where does it go?
Grab me a Frosty.
Over there. So
okay.
Does it still work?
I don't know.
Thank you. 78 at 8 o'clock, 80 already at 9. And then we're going to be up to 90 at noon. Plenty of sunshine. That wind out of the south, 10, 15, 20 miles per hour, gusting at times. But again, I got to keep giving Mark credit for the description of a hairdryer out there. And we're going to be topping off at 102 later on today. Nothing showing up on the satellite picture really right now, just some of those low clouds. I'll take my coffee later, sir. Thank you very much. Notice how everything's coming across here is just about straight west to east. Well, it's this high. This thing's sitting on top of us, and this is not going to be moving. Sits on top of us, pushes down on the atmosphere, keeps all of the main flow up there to the north. That's where all the activity is, well up there to the north. And this is going to remain pretty much in place and not move at all in through the weekend. But what I was alluding to for next week, if that high starts to work its way off to the east of us a bit more, coming around that clockwise rotation, then we get into more of this flow coming in here off the Gulf of Mexico. So if that could give helping to bring in some of that Saharan dust, but also if perhaps a disturbance were to develop in the Gulf of Mexico, would hopefully bring it on in here to give us some relief. Again, long way off, though. 90 today at noon. Mostly sunny skies, and then a high temperature makes it up to 102. Breezy. The record is 103. By the way, yesterday the record was 101. Of course, we hit 104. Heat advisory goes into effect at 1 up until 9 o'clock tonight. Just not a good thing to think about when it's going to be that hot, even well into the early evening hours. Triple digits across the board, close to respective records each and every day, just about.
Thank you, Mike. 554, about 76 degrees.
Look at your winning lotto numbers. Pick 3, 696, Fireball 5. Daily 4, 9816, Fireball 6.
Cash 5, 4, 5, 13, 30, 33. Texas two-step 28, 20, 35. Bonus ball 8. And Powerball 2, 10, 35, 44, 46. Powerball 4, Power Play 2. Ahead in our next hour, have you ever wanted to unsend a text message? You may be in luck. We'll tell you how. Just ahead, a man is dead this morning after he was hit by a driver overnight in far west Bexar County. We'll tell you what we know so far. And TransGuide live right now. Stephen will have an update coming up at the top of the hour. New overnight, a man is dead after he was hit by a vehicle in far west Bexar County. We have details ahead. Temperatures are on the rise here in South Texas, and CPS Energy has some new ways to help you conserve power. We'll have those details as well. And outside with live cam, an unbelievably hot day for sure out across South Texas to start the work week. And it sounds like Tuesday is going to be very similar. Good morning to you. It is Tuesday.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Tuesday, June 7th. Hi there. Steph joins us.
Hi. Good morning. Thanks for joining us today. Hope you had a good Monday. It got pretty hot, especially in the afternoon hours.
And this trend continues. Here's Mike Ostrage with more on how hot it will be for the next, seems like what? 3 or 4 months, Mike Osterhage?
You know, when it's this hot, it just seems like it lasts forever. But yesterday we did get up to 104, hottest we've been in a couple of years since August 2020. That was a new record, of course. We are going to be close to a record today, each and every day this week. You're going to be either tying, perhaps setting close to within a few degrees of the respective records each and every day. And yeah, every day is going to be well up into the triple digits. Lots of clouds still hanging around here this morning. And we do have low amounts of mold in the atmosphere. And temperatures, we are in the mid upper 70s right now, maybe fluctuate a couple of notches here and there, bottom out at 75 degrees. The normal low, though, is 72, so we are still above normal, and the wind is going to be picking up. There's a decent breeze out there right now. We are going to have that southerly wind, 10, 20 miles per hour, kind of on the gusty side, but it's going to be that hot wind later on today. 90 at noon, and then we'll top off at 102. The record today is 103. Like I said, there's a lot more of that in store. We also have another heat advisory that goes into effect later on this afternoon at 1 o'clock, but up until 9 o'clock. So it's just going to stay very, very hot, obviously, even into the early evening hours. Pretty much along 281, does include New Braunfels and San Antonio, and then out to the west, and of course over toward the Rio Grande Valley. We're going to have those temperatures and what little heat index there is getting up about 110 or higher than that. So just take it easy. We'll take a look ahead, see if there's any changes in sight. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos, what's going on?
Well, you know what? The calm trend continues over here on the roadways, Mike. We are seeing 410 at Culebra just getting a little bit busier, but thankfully nothing major to talk about just yet. You can see just traffic getting by there near 1604. Right now, just quiet is what you can expect if you're going to be heading out in the next few moments. But keep in mind, this is the hour where things really start to change. As you can see there at 35, it is getting busier. So let's just take you right to the map, because we did have a few issues that we showed you earlier. We talked about a crash off of I-10 that has cleared out, and we saw a stall off US 90 that's also cleared, but just several active construction zones, and we'll continue to mention that throughout the morning. But thankfully no delays, especially if you're going to be traveling into the Alamo City. Right now, Pleasant Drive from Pleasanton, 28 minutes on I-37 northbound. We're looking at an 18-minute drive time if you're traveling on Highway 90 heading eastbound to West Loop 1604, pardon me, and 16 minutes your arrival from Lytle 35 northbound coming in. So right now, no delays just yet, as I mentioned, but it is the hour where things really start to change. But 410 at Harry Wurzbach, one last look around town. Things look fine so far. We'll continue to watch the roads closely and have more updates coming up a little later on. Guys.
Thank you for the update, Stephen. A man is dead this morning after he was hit by a driver overnight. Bexar County Sheriff's deputies say it happened at Petranco and Sundance Crest in far west Bexar County. According to a deputy, the victim was hit by the driver of a black Jeep. The deputy says the driver tried to avoid him, but it was too late, ended up jumping the curb and rolling over. That driver was taken to a hospital. His condition is unknown right now. The pedestrian died at the scene. Victims of the Robb Elementary School shooting in Uvalde continue to be laid to rest this week.
Sarah Costa joins us now with the details. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Steph. It will be another day of tears and remembrance in Uvalde. Later this morning, funeral services for 10-year-old Xavier Lopez will be at 10 a.m. at Hillcrest Cemetery in Uvalde. His family says he was an active young boy who loved to play baseball. There will also be a visitation today for 10-year-old Annabelle Rodriguez at Rushing Estes Knolls Mortuary from noon until 9 p.m. Her funeral services are scheduled for tomorrow. Meanwhile, today marks 2 weeks since the shooting at Robb Elementary. This family of one of the victims, Anne-Marie Jo Garza, is vowing to fight for change. Her father, Alfred Garza, says his daughter was sassy, social, and loved to play with things that made a mess, whether it was slime or sand. Garza says he's proud of his daughter's bravery that she showed when that shooting happened.
I don't want my daughter's name tarnished by just how she died. I prefer to remember how she lived.
The Girl Scouts of Southwest Texas awarded her the Bronze Cross after she was killed, saying she did all she could to save the lives of her classmates and teachers. The list of visitations and funerals are on our website at KSAT.com. We also have a list of the official funds for the victims in Uvalde if you would like to donate to help. And ahead in our next half hour, following another violent weekend of mass shootings across the country is adding to the urgency in Washington for a group of bipartisan lawmakers to reach a deal on gun control. We'll have more details coming up in our next half hour of GMSA. Mark and Steph.
Thank you, Sarah. Some other top stories we're following. A home security camera captures the moment a woman and her 4-month-old infant run out of a burning home. Smoke, flames quickly consumed the home along with the neighbor's house. Now, this happened around noon yesterday on Neptune Street near Frio City Road and Highway 90. The family is okay. 3 people in the home next door also got out safely after one of them pushed an AC unit out of the window to escape.
This is, it's sad, right? Because it's my house. But the important thing is that nobody was hurt. A house can be replaced.
San Antonio firefighters are still looking for a cause. They're reminding homeowners and renters to have working smoke detectors in every room.
A rally for WNBA star Brittany Griner was held in Houston last night at the Toyota Center. She has been detained in Russia since February 17th. Russian officials stopped Griner while at an airport after claims that she had cannabis oil in her luggage. Former Marine Trevor Reed among those at the rally. He was released back in April after being held in Russia for 3 years. Reed had been sentenced to 9 years in prison for an altercation with Russian police officers.
Razor-thin results in the runoff race that's gained national attention. The Texas Tribune is reporting immigration attorney Jessica Cisneros will call for a recount in the race for District 23. She's up against incumbent Representative Henry Cuellar. Only 281 votes separated the 2 Democratic candidates. Now, Cuellar's office released a statement saying, in part, quote, "She has no path to victory and will not gain 281 votes. I welcome this process that will only further verify our victory." End quote.
In your morning consumer headlines, a new boost for solar power. President Biden now invoking the Defense Production Act along with other executive orders to try to boost supplies needed by solar power companies. They say they've been slowed by supply chain problems and a federal probe into possible trade violations by China.
And more things to think about for shareholders of Spirit Airlines ahead of a Friday vote on whether to merge with Frontier. But JetBlue has now sweetened its offer to take over Spirit. And we turn now to a growing debate over a 4-day work week.
A new experiment, first of its kind, is now underway.
ABC's Rhiannon Alley has the details.
This morning, a 4-day work week sounds like a dream come true, but it's now a reality for thousands of people in the UK.
It's good, obviously, for sort of employees who get more time back to spend with their sort of families on professional development.
A 6-month trial period, organized in part by a nonprofit, has kicked off for British employees at 70 companies with no loss of pay.
Because when you're better rested, you're a better worker, you're more efficient in your job, you're more effective, you're more motivated.
They'll be paid 100% of their salaries for 80% of their previous work schedule, but they've committed to maintaining the same productivity, meaning doing the same work in less time.
It turns out that in virtually every industry, it's possible to do 5 days worth of work in 4, sort of without stressing people out.
Advocates say it could bridge the gap between remote work advocates and companies pushing to bring employees back to the office full time.
I'm optimistic that even as we return, or we can return to something like normal, that we will be able to continue to experiment and kind of build on the best parts of the experience of the pandemic.
Some countries have already adopted a 4-day work week. Companies in Japan and Iceland are seeing success, but it's been slow to catch on in the U.S.
Some opponents say that it could destabilize the economy, putting undue pressure on businesses, especially those that have slim margins. What would you say to those people?
There's no company I know of, and I've studied hundreds at this stage, who have moved to a 4-day week and lost money.
Industries participating in this trial run in the UK range from banking to retail services to education. We'll see when this trial ends in December whether they're ready to cut back to 4 days a week for good. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Coming up today on GMSA at 9, a nonprofit helping people experiencing homelessness say they are seeing more people than pre-pandemic, and they need your help.
Plus, a new South Texas Crime Stories podcast episode is being released this morning. It's a follow-up to a 3-part series we aired yesterday at 5, 6, and 10 about the Tacoland murders nearly 20 years ago.
Erica Hernandez is going to join us at 9 to talk more about these stories and her death row interview with the man convicted in these 2 murders.
And time now 6:10 and 77 degrees for now.
Still ahead on GMSA at 6. Have you ever wanted to unsend a text? Yes. That is now a reality for iPhone users. We'll have details.
And just ahead, you may have noticed over the last several days, it's really hot outside. That's why CPS Energy has some new ways to help conserve power. We'll explain.
And outside with Lycam, waking up on a Tuesday with GMSA. Gosh, we dropped down to only 76 degrees so far, and now it's up a degree this hour. We'll be back.
And welcome back at 6:14. It's hot out there. We're hitting triple digits once again today, and CPS Energy is launching a color-coded conservation notification program to help customers manage their energy bills and conserve energy.
Sarah Costa joined us now to tell us more on that. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. So according to CPS Energy, this conservation level awareness program is aligned with the city of San Antonio's existing Beat the Heat initiative, especially with the rising temperatures we're already seeing this summer. So here's how it works. The program has 4 color-coded energy conservation levels to show customers how to use simple conservation tools that will help lower energy usage. So most days will be green, which call for everyday conservation actions. If additional conservation is needed during peak energy demand hours, CPS Energy will elevate the status to a yellow day, recommending increased conservation measures to customers. And orange alerts and red alerts will only be issued if the Electric Reliability Council of Texas declares grid reliability is at risk. We have all these details on KSAT.com. And of course, conserving things like your washer, your dryer,
oven.
Your oven, your of course, in the thermostat, I just mentioned to Stephen Cavazos, turning it at 78, between 78 and 80 degrees, between 2 and 7 p.m.
I can't
is
do
recommended.
it, Sarah.
I do it. I basically roast my husband out all day. He's like, oh my gosh, why is it so a sauna in here? But Hey, I'm conserving. Mark and Steph.
Hashtag poor Dave.
I know.
Thank you, Sarah.
Time now, 6:16. Let's go ahead and check in with Stephen Cavazos. So you keep it cool, right?
I do keep it cool. I like a cool house, like anybody does, except for Sarah Acosta. But we'll definitely want to conserve energy, of course, as she was just mentioning. But we're gonna have to keep our eyes here at 281 in Tacoma. Unfortunately, we do have something to talk about that is not good. You can see our friends at TransGuide were able to get us a shot of this crash that was reported. Now, I noticed that our friend over there, Ishmael, has been panning the camera around, trying to get us a view of the conditions, and you can see that we have multiple first responders there along the access road. Right now, we are spotting just one vehicle off on the side with their emergency lights on, so keep this in mind. This is not in a place that you want to be right now, and unfortunately, it's there in those southbound lanes of 281, so people that may be trying to make their way down from Bulverde, for instance, likely will encounter those flashing lights near Tacoma, so you got to make sure, move over, slow down, if not, find an alternative route. But thankfully, this early, we're not really seeing a lot of delays just yet. Let's go ahead and give you that wide view. 617 elsewhere is looking totally fine. No delays at all. But we mentioned this yesterday, and we're going to mention it again. Some work continues here off of Northwest Military Highway, utility work, that is. We see it all the time. This is current, but should be wrapping up on Friday, June 10th. Keep in mind, though, those crews will be out there from 7 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. During that time, you can expect single-lane closures in both directions from Loop 1604 to Huebner Road. So that will again be taking place probably within the next few minutes. We can probably see crews out there, but we see first responders out here. Again, 281 in Tacoma. Not a great way to start this morning, guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
We talk about keeping it cool. Don't forget to let your air conditioning kind of rest every once in a while, too. Yeah. It's just fighting to keep up with the temperatures and keep it so low. And change the air filters. I mean, do all those little things, ceiling fans. And remember, ceiling fans only when you're in the room. They don't circulate the air around the house. It's just that little bit of a cooling effect that they have when you're sitting there. So
also true.
Every little thing, because boy, look at the temperature, and then it's like, do the math, and is that what you multiply your electric bill by when it comes, because this is just, it's tough to take, but it's going to continue on. 78 degrees right now in town. We've actually gone up 1 degree in the past hour. 77 up there in New Braunfels. Everybody is above their respective normal low temperatures, which is 72 in town right now. That top number, dew points at 70, so plenty of humidity out there, and we do have the wind out of the south as of right now. All right, here's an interesting looking picture. And this is referring to Justin Horn, because the other day he took a picture and sent it to us of some little scorpions he found in and around his home there. And
I think one wound up on his arm.
Yeah.
While he was sitting on the couch.
I was going to avoid that just because it might freak some people out. But yes, what I found yesterday under a board. And that's the thing, too. I mean, everybody and everything is looking for some water out there. So just watch it with all the little creepy crawlies. And yeah, that kind of gives you the woolies looking at that picture. Yeah. All right. As far as consecutive triple-digit days, the record is 21 days back in 1962, and kind of modified this. Yesterday, I was thinking that it was going to be about 10 days in a row. Now it looks like we are going to be sticking around triple digits even through the middle of next week. So starting Sunday, when we hit 102 yesterday and continuing on, it looks like we're projecting about 12 days, which would tie for a couple of years ago, as well as in 2011 for the streak of consecutive triple-digit days. As I mentioned, 78 here in town, and everybody is not enjoying higher humidity this morning. Throughout the rest of the morning, though, we're going to make it up to 80 at 9 o'clock, and then add 10 to that already by noon. Plenty of sunshine, wind out of the south, 10, 15, 20 miles per hour on the breezy side. 102 for a high temperature today. The current record is 103, so obviously it's going to be very close. Yesterday, we did hit 104. 105, 111 in Cotulla, a lot of just blisteringly hot temperatures off to the west. Today, still extremely hot. Shave a couple of degrees off. So at least there's, again, 1 or 2 degrees. That's all we can ask for. We'll be right around triple digits all around the metropolitan area. And at least it looks like that the humidity will drop slightly more than what it did yesterday. So the heat index won't be quite as much above the actual air temperature later on today. Again, it's sort of splitting hairs. It's still going to be brutally hot out there, but we'll take anything, any little bit we can get. 90 at noon today. Mostly sunny skies. High temperature makes it up to 102, breezy, and we do have a heat advisory in effect. 281, and then west of there, of course, the excessive heat warning out there northwest of the hill country over the next 7 days. Read it and sweat. Triple-digit temperatures all the way through the weekend. Each and every day, close to, within a few degrees of the respective record high temperatures, and it looks like that's going to continue on into the middle of next week.
If you're visiting San Antonio, we're sorry, this isn't normal till another month or so. But,
yeah, those temperatures are about 10 degrees above normal, even hotter than the hottest time of the year historically, which is August.
Play it safe, and as Steph always says, hydrate before you go outside.
Before you go out, yes, definitely.
621, about 77 degrees.
And still to come on GMSA, Apple is giving iPhone users the option to unsend text messages. Those details ahead.
Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference continues today. In Tech Bites, the company says its new laptop includes a faster chip, a new display, and improved webcam. Pricing starts at $1,200.
And Apple is adding a new medication tracking feature to its health app. You can send your medication bottle with your iPhone and create a custom schedule. You'll get an alert to remind you when it's time for your next dose.
Big news for anyone who's ever regretted sending a text. Apple says an iPhone software update will soon allow you to edit or unsend a message up to 15 minutes after sending it. And once a message is deleted, you'll have 30 days to recover it. No word yet on when the software update will be released.
Should be interesting. Time now, 6:25 and 77 degrees for now.
We have a lot more heading your way in the next half hour, including an important news update. If you have to fill up this morning, we're talking about those unbelievably high gas prices and how much higher they could go. Plus,
the kids started asking out loud, Mr. Reyes, what is going on? And I said, I don't know what's going on, but let's go ahead and get under the table. Get under the table and act like you're asleep.
This morning, we are hearing from a fourth grade teacher shot twice in Uvalde. What he's sharing about his experience 2 weeks after surviving the second most deadly school shooting in U.S. history.
TransGuide, one of the spots that we are watching right now with Stephen Cavazos, 281 at Tacoma. Quite a few crews out there still at the scene. We'll be right back.
In Houston, the body of a high school girl has been recovered from a vehicle that flew off a bridge and plunged into a body of water. We're going to tell you more about it.
Outside with live cam, record temperatures continue. Our hot streak goes on into the work week. Talk to Mike in just a moment. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, June 7th.
Thanks for joining us today. We broke a record yesterday afternoon, and we're looking to break more records this week. Let's go ahead and check in with Mike.
Yeah, either tie them or close enough to them. I don't know if that really matters when you're up in the triple digits. You know, it's kind of a gee whiz type thing when we hit the records. But 104 yesterday, which yes did break the record by 3 degrees, and that's the hottest we've been since way back August of 2020. And we are going to continue with these scorching temperatures. Clouds this morning, humid conditions out there. The humidity goes through its sort of daily cycle. It does come down somewhat in the afternoon. So 78 degrees, 2 points at 70, which means, yep, it's plenty humid, and wind out of the south at 9 miles per hour. We do have a low amount of mold. The updated count is going to be coming out in about, say, an hour or so, half hour to an hour. And throughout the rest of today, some clouds out there this morning, very, very warm. Then this afternoon, mostly sunny, breezy, 102. The record's 103, so close to it. The nice thing is, and this is just, again, we're grasping at straws here as far as trying to find any positive thing to this, but it does look like the humidity will be slightly lower this afternoon. So not quite as intense of a heat index to deal with. We are going to remain in triple digits all week long, all in through the weekend as well. And it looks like that's going to be sticking around even on into about the middle part of next week. We do a heat advisory, goes into effect at 1 o'clock up until 9 o'clock tonight. So it's still going to be hot even into the evening hours. Air conditioning, it's going to be working overtime trying to keep up with those hot temperatures, but this does include San Antonio, New Braunfels, west of 281 out in toward the hill country. We will take a look and see if there's any light at the end of the tunnel coming up in just a couple of minutes. As far as traffic, Stephen, what's going on?
Hey, good morning, Mike. Unfortunately, still seeing these flashing lights out there, 281 in Tacoma. Let's get a closer look and show you what TransGuide was able to show us in terms of the conditions, because we are seeing this crash that was reported along the access road of US 281. Now, if you take a close look, you can see those first responders are out there on the scene, so it does appear that they have a few lanes that are blocked off at this time. Hopefully the driver is okay. We did notice there was one car that was involved. Not sure how many are involved at this time, but we'll work to bring you that information as the morning does go on. But again, just watch for those first responders who are out there working to keep the roadways a safe place. Let's go ahead and show you where it's at, because it is in the southbound lanes of 281, not far from Tacoma Street, but because it is on the access road, we're not really seeing that impact in terms of congestion just yet, but we do know 281 is a heavily traveled area as people are making their way into the downtown area. So just keep this in mind as you drive by. Make sure to keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the wheel. Let's go ahead and show you that wide view of the map at 6:33. Thankfully, nothing else to talk about. Tuesday has been off to a pretty easy start, and if your destination is the Alamo City, again, green across the board, except for 281. Again, southbound, we usually see a delay around this time, 28 minutes, but that is due to some of the work that has continued up there. So just keep that in mind. Pack that patience. We know there's a lot going on there this morning, and back here off 281 and Tacoma, we still have those flashing lights. Of course, we're going to continue to watch this area closely and give you those updates coming up a little bit later on. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen. A driver says there was no way to avoid it. A deadly crash overnight involving a pedestrian. It happened in far west Bexar County, outside Loop 1604 and Petranco Road and Sundance Crest.
Katrina Weber is there with the live report. Have sheriff's investigators ruled this an accident, Katrina?
Well, it sounds like they may be leaning that way, but they tell us that this is still under investigation. And we can see signs of that investigation all over the ground here. We have some markings on the ground, spray-painted markings from when investigators pointed out some of the key issues here. And then if we look over here, we can see the path that the car took once it went off course. Now, this crash happened around 12:30 this morning. Sheriff's deputies say the driver of a Jeep was heading here along Petranco Road near Sundance Crest and hit a man who was walking along the road. They say the driver claimed to not see the man until it was too late. That pedestrian died here at the scene. After the crash, the Jeep rolled over and landed in the grass. We understand the driver had to be taken to a hospital by ambulance, but we don't know yet the condition of that person. We're also waiting to find out some more information from the sheriff's office. Reporting live in far west Bexar County, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. Victims of the Robb Elementary School shooting in Uvalde continue to be laid to rest this week.
Later this morning, funeral services for 10-year-old Javier Lopez will be at 10 a.m. at Hillcrest Cemetery in Uvalde. His family says he was an active young boy who loved to play baseball.
There will also be a visitation today for 10-year-old Annabelle Rodriguez at Rushing Estes Knolls Mortuary in Uvalde from noon to 9 p.m. Her funeral services are scheduled for tomorrow.
Funeral and visitation services in Uvalde will continue over the coming days, and we have the schedules for all of the victims posted on our website at KSAT.com.
Now to the new urgency in Washington for a group of bipartisan lawmakers to reach a deal on some type of gun control.
Sarah Costa joins us now with the details. Sarah.
Good morning, Mark and Stephanie. Like you guys said, in Washington, there's that growing momentum to reach that deal on gun reform. Some top Democrats saying there just won't be any patience beyond that. A bipartisan group of senators is under pressure to reach a compromise by the end of this week. Sources tell ABC News negotiators are considering a proposal to change the criminal background check system to access juvenile records, which are often sealed. The other top proposals are strengthening background checks, incentives for states to enact red flag laws, and funding for school security and mental health.
This country cannot look away as our schools and our neighborhoods become killing fields.
In order to deliver results, we have to build consensus, and the best way to do that is through targeted reforms.
In New York, Governor Kathy Hochul signing a bill to require a license for a semi-automatic rifle and raising the minimum age to buy or have one to 21. She says there's still more to do. And parents and victims of survivors of mass shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde will appear before a House committee tomorrow. The panel will hear from Maya Cerrillo, a fourth grader who covered herself in her dead classmates' blood and played dead to survive the shooting rampage at Robb Elementary. We'll have a KSAT crew covering this testimony in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. Mark and Stephanie.
Thank you, Sarah. And this morning, we are also hearing from a fourth grade teacher shot twice in Uvalde. Now, Arnulfo Reyes is speaking out from his hospital bed.
I said, I don't know what's going on, but let's go ahead and get under the table. Get under the table and act like you're asleep. As they were doing that, and I was gathering them under the table and told them to act like they were going to sleep, is about the time when I turned around and saw him standing there.
Almost immediately, the gunman started opening fire. 2 bullets hit Reyes, the gunman then turning the gun on the students. Reyes could hear a child in the next classroom pleading for police to help. By then, he thinks officers had walked away.
One of the students from the next door classroom was saying, "Officer, we're in here. We're in here." But they had already left. And then he got up from behind my desk, and he walked over there and he shot over there again.
Coming up on Good Morning America, more from that interview as ABC News launches special all-day coverage of guns in America.
The Bexar County Sheriff's Office has arrested a Brennan High School student following online threats. Last week, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office says it was alerted by Northside ISD police that a student at Brennan had made online threats to shoot up the school. During an investigation, the suspect admitted to posting the threats on Instagram.
The teen was booked into the Juvenile Detention Center for terroristic threats. It was later discovered that the teen was upset over low school grades. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office is urging anyone who knows about threats of violence to call that number on your screen, and that's 210-335-6000.
New details following a deadly crash that happened outside Bernie. We've learned that Kendall Batchelor, daughter of San Antonio Cadillac dealership owner Ken Batchelor, has turned herself in. The 22-year-old facing a charge of intoxication manslaughter. DPS tells us Thursday night she was driving the wrong way on State Highway 46 just outside Bernie when her truck struck a sedan head-on, killing the driver. The driver, 49-year-old David Belter, died at the scene. Batchelor was taken to the hospital after the crash, but as we said, she has now turned herself in to authorities.
The Texas Department of Criminal Justice is temporarily suspending the transport of inmates as they continue to review transportation procedures. This comes just days after 5 family members were murdered in a home in Centerville. Investigators say Gonzalo Lopez was behind that crime. He is a cartel member convicted of capital murder. Several weeks earlier, he escaped from a prison bus while he was being transported to a doctor's appointment.
And this morning, the search continues for a murder suspect who got away on a bicycle. Police in Jourdanton are still looking for this man, 44 Luis Daniel Rodriguez. Details are still limited at this time. Jourdanton police say Rodriguez was seen riding a bike south on Highway 16. Yesterday, they got a lot of reports, but so far he has not turned up. If you do see him, you are urged to immediately call 911.
In Houston, crews have recovered the body of a 16-year-old girl who became trapped inside a vehicle that plunged into a body of water. Now, this all happened in East Houston on Monday. Police say 3 teens, 2 girls and a boy, were traveling in a vehicle when that vehicle slowed down and the driver somehow lost control and went over the guardrail of that bridge. Crews say the boy and one of the girls inside managed to get free, while the other teen girl remained trapped in the vehicle. Still not clear what caused the crash.
The number of confirmed or probable cases of monkeypox is up to 31 here in the United States. According to the CDC, those cases are in 12 states and Washington, D.C. As the numbers grow, health officials worry there could be community spread of the disease. To battle that, testing and vaccination is ramping up. About 1,200 doses of vaccine have been offered to people most at risk of contracting monkeypox.
And coming up on Good Morning America, the family of the author of the article that inspired the original Top Gun film is suing Paramount for copyright infringement. That's coming up at 7 a.m. right here on KSAT.
Catch all of the NBA Finals action right here on KSAT. Right now, the Golden State Warriors and Boston Celtics are tied at a game apiece in the best-of-7 series. Game 3 tips off tomorrow night in Boston at 8 o'clock. You can watch it live right here on KSAT 12.
Be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. Time now, 6:41 and 76 degrees for now.
Well, still ahead on GMSA, what you need to know before you hire anyone to work on your home. 6:45, when you turn to the pros to help with home projects, it's a good idea to think about how much everything will cost you, right?
That's right. In this morning's Ask Angie segment, we break down some things to consider when paying your hired help. So first, talk about when to pay. Making a deposit or small installment on the bill is not uncommon. What is uncommon is paying the complete cost of the job before it's done.
Yeah, once you and your pro have agreed on a deposit amount, make sure you understand their payment schedule and what forms of payment they accept. Experts say electronic payments are also a great way to go.
Checks, wire transfers, and credit cards are all great ways to pay. They give you proof of payment and can make you more comfortable than paying with cash. However, there can be fees associated with different payment methods, so be sure to ask about that before you commit to one.
Cash apps like PayPal and Venmo are becoming extremely popular ways to pay for both goods and services and tend to come with protection for the payer. However, not all contractors are pros on board just yet, so be sure to ask before making any assumptions. And lastly, after the job is done, it's not always clear when you should tip. If your pros are prompt, professional, and deliver high-quality work, a tip is a great way to reward them for taking good care of your home.
Let's be clear, though, how much you tip is totally up to you. Another great way to show your appreciation would be through offering a snack or drink while they're on the job. A 5-star review is also never, ever underappreciated. Right, gas soared 33 cents in 1 week, folks, and analysts are saying $5 a gallon is not impossible here in San Antonio.
Scary. Sarah Acosta joins us live in the studio with what is driving the surge. Good morning again.
Personally, guys, I was feeling this last weekend, traded in the truck for a Prius hybrid.
Oh, it's a done deal.
It's a done deal. It's in the parking lot right now. I'll show you after the show. So drivers of trucks, SUVs are seeing $100 fill-ups or more. Locals are paying $4.51 at the pump this morning. This as gas prices have surged 33 cents a gallon in just the past week, hitting a new record high of $4.50. That's nearly $2 more per gallon than 1 year ago. So what's driving this super surge? Analysts say it's a culmination of factors including $120 per barrel of oil, the Russian invasion, and booming global demand. Diminished refining capacity is also part of the out-of-whack supply and demand equation, according to the chief petroleum analyst for GasBuddy. He says drivers can expect a rough summer at the pump, especially if hurricanes disrupt supply, and no relief is in sight, at least until fall. Even then, he says, many factors are unpredictable. Okay, so here's some slightly good news, maybe, I don't know. Gas in Texas is still slightly under the national average, according to AAA. We are filling up here in Texas on average for $4.60, and across the U.S., drivers are filling up for $4.91. Stephen?
Well, we know that's definitely going to be pinching some people's wallets like myself. But let's talk about what we're seeing here at 281 at Nakoma. If you've been with us, you know we've talked about this crash. And let's go ahead and bring the camera in and show you exactly what we're looking at, because this is being picked up off the access road along 281 in the southbound lane. So you can see first responders have blocked off that area completely. We are seeing them right now working and investigating the scene. Information is very limited at this time. I have reached out to the San Antonio Police Department to see if we can get some sort of confirmation on exactly what is going on here. But right now, TxDOT has listed that as a crash in the southbound lanes of 281 near Nakoma, as you just saw on that TransGuide camera. But because it's on the access road, we're not seeing it really slowing down traffic there in the southbound lanes of the highway just yet. But we want to remind those drivers, make sure to stay alert, avoid distractions, and again, watch for those first responders. Let's go ahead and show you the bird's eye view of the metro area. Nothing else really to talk about, but we do have those stalls out there. So as a reminder, check your vehicles and make sure you fuel up. We all know that it is a pain at the pump, as Sarah was just mentioning. So, but again, the problem right now for that early drive will be right here at 281 at Tacoma. Remember to stay focused. But Mike Osterhage, I'm sure sunglasses will always be a good idea.
Yep, sunglasses, pretty good idea. And I know there's no such thing as moon glasses, but, you know, just going in with the picture right here. So beautiful view of the first quarter moon. It is the, what?
What are you talking about, man?
So, I was just thinking about all the gas prices. It's like, you know, makes your head just kind of spin there.
Explode, yeah. Sure.
Again, anything to take our minds off of the hot temperatures.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, it is the waxing gibbous moon now, and it's going to be full 1 week from today on the 14th, which of course is Flag Day. Clouds hanging around here this morning, but yes, you will need your sunglasses later on this afternoon with plenty of, thank you, I got a thumbs up from Mr. Anchor over there. So 80 right now. So we've actually gone up a degree. Temperature's at 78, but the heat index right now is at 80. 81 Castroville, 78 is what it feels like in New Braunfels. And throughout the rest of the morning, we will see more sunshine. Clouds will be sticking around for the next couple of hours. And then we make it up to actually 80 at 9 o'clock for the temperature, then 90 at noon. Wind out of the south about 10, 15, 20 miles per hour on the breezy side. We're going to top off at 102 later on today. Still in the triple digits, though, even going into the early evening hours. And that's one reason why the heat advisory, I'm going to show you the map on that in a moment, but that's why that even extends into the almost mid-evening hours, if you will, 9 o'clock tonight. Again, show you the map in a moment. Heat index 103. So we'll still have some humidity left over later on this afternoon, but it will drop down, and it looks like it's going to be dropping down slightly more than where it was yesterday. We still stayed about 63, 64 degrees for dew point temperature. Now, we will have heat index readings 105, 110 down to the southwest, but at least dew points, measure moisture in the atmosphere, will in the afternoon be dropping into, it looks like, somewhere into the 50s. So it will be slightly more comfortable. And again, that high is sitting just about right on top of us, and that just pushes down in the atmosphere, doesn't allow anything to try and form up. Any sort of rain stays right there in that main flow where those lines are closer together up there in the northern half of the country. And this thing is going to be staying put all the way through the rest of the week, going into the weekend. There is this northwesterly flow, some thinking that maybe a little disturbance may try and come through here late Saturday night. That would be wishful thinking at best. But this thing, again, just stays firmly in place. Nothing changes going in through the first part of next week. One glimmer of hope, though, is as this moves off to the east a little bit more, we'd get into more of an easterly flow around that counterclockwise rotation around that high. Perhaps get something trying to scooch in here from the Gulf. And again, all right now wishful thinking. 90 at noon today, mostly sunny skies. High temperature makes it up to 102, records 103, obviously close to it again, breezy conditions. There's that heat advisory for the western half of the area, right along 281 west of there, up until 9 o'clock tonight, starts at 1 o'clock. And then tomorrow, still triple digits, and all the way through the weekend, and starting off next week. Steph, Mark?
We'll be prepared. Thank you, Mike.
6:52, 76 degrees.
Good morning to you at home. Time now is 6:56. Let's get a look here, 281 and Tacoma. Now, information is still limited at this time, but we do have first responders that have blocked off 4 lanes of the access road there. You can see them there on the TransGuide camera investigating a crash. We'll have more updates throughout the morning here on GMSA.
Heat advisory later on this afternoon, all the way through mid-evening.
And that's a wrap, folks.
All right, thanks for joining us. Have a safe day. Stay cool. We'll see you back here at 9.
GMA is next.